Owen, Darragh, how are you doing? We are talking there off air about what you were consuming post training session today in UCD. So, how did the day go? Owen, did you get what you thought you would out of your rehab session that we touched on last week? And how did you go against the big man as well?
Yeah, great day out. Unbelievable weekend. Obviously with Alan Murdoch there at the workshop yesterday in Blackrock, and then doing a session with him today, got the eyes opened. Like even just the prep for the session was worth it alone. Like just seeing how you're supposed to feel, getting a few wee cues to work on, and yeah, I think within the first the prep and then within the first two runs out of the pitch, I was like, right, I've got my homework here. I know what I need to go and work on. So no, I was class. Didn't fare too well. Did all right against Darragh in the inside in the prep, but then went out of the pits. I got exposed a wee bit, like. But he's been under Alan's wing for a couple of weeks now, like. So we'll give him that.
Darragh, you've been showing off your new change of direction technique and your impressive penultimate step on your story over the last week. So did you get to put it into practice against Owen today? You sent him for a hot dog apparently.
Yeah, he spent most of that session sitting down, to be fair. But no, it was actually like it was just good to get out and actually experience a bit of like not just change direction, but just like a bit of situational stuff in terms of against an opponent, which is something I haven't done in absolutely ages. And obviously against Owen, who would pride himself in his defending. It was just nice to put him on his hole a few times, you know. But no, it was good crack. Unbelievable few days, to be honest. Just learning from one of the world's best, like, to be honest. When you look at who Alan's worked with over the last couple of years, and good to get moving as well in the pitch, in I suppose with a bit of intent, which is something I probably haven't done a massive amount up to now. Yeah, good day.
So we all know that Alan is absolutely world class, having worked with him over the last year, each of us individually, completing his mentorship and then just chatting with him and going to all of his seminars and whatnot. The cynics in Ireland would say, why are you going to that fella? Sure, he doesn't know anything about GAA. So you've just touched on situations there, Darragh, and sport-specific situations. How did you find the drills that he put together for you guys? Did you feel like they applied really, really well to the game? Because we know that if you're a very good S&C coach, performance coach, you'll be able to watch the game and break down the key actions into key moments and then develop drills off the back of it. So how did they go, Darragh?
Yeah, so like Alan he's an unbelievably smart man, and he knows himself that he actually spoke about this in the workshop as well in the ACL day about understanding the demands of the sport. So Alan will always watch the sport that the person in front of him is involved within. And for us, obviously, that's GA. So he's smart enough to know what we want and what we need. And he asks plenty of questions in terms of how we play the game. And he knows and understands that for me, as a forward, my ability to take men on, is going to be based largely off my ability to, I suppose, step and evade defenders. So a lot of the stuff and a lot of the prep that we were doing within the gym was, I suppose, working towards that as well. Feeling the postures and the positions that we want to feel out in the field. And then obviously, working your way up in terms of intensity and to be able to do that in an open environment on the pitch. So, yeah, as I mentioned, Nick, he's unbelievably smart. He's not stupid enough to just, completely focus on the actual physical side of things. Like he even just out in the pitch, he was just asking us in terms of like what we actually do, so that he could obviously base his exercises and his drills off the back of that. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Oh, and how did you find? Obviously, they did apply very well to GAA by the sounds of things, or Gaelic football, but maybe you found yourself a little bit isolated by the sounds of things as well in the one-on-one scenarios.
Exposed. No, I was class. Like when you break down team sports, it's pretty straightforward. Like you talk about a lot of pity, like you're either trying to take space or create space. As an attacker, you're obviously trying to create space, whereas as a defender, you're trying to you're trying to take the space of the forward and then, you know, not give them any options to create that sort of room. And even just from watching the videos, like even me trying to close the gap, and it was probably because I've been out of it a wee while as well. I was like right away getting things that I wanted to work on. And then even when I was attacking too, we were even chatting to Alan about the differences. Like obviously in rugby, if you go to, he was chatting about avoiding contact and staying well clear of it. And basically the goal was if you get two hands on, you're fine. And I was finding myself almost leaning in whenever I was sort of coming past, I was almost leaning into the contact. And then I was asking the question, obviously in rugby, if you lean into the contact, you're getting fucking took out by the root. Whereas in GAA, so like you lean into the contact, your momentum is probably going to carry you through it because, you know, it's not AFL or it's not rugby where someone can do whatever they want to, basically. So even with small things like that, and then, you know, just making the point of how you were feeling, cutting off different sides. It was class. Like, and it's when you look at team sports, as I was saying, that was my point initially. Like when you look at team sports and you look at what the goals are, the objectives are, sports, like a lot of the principles are very much the same. Yes, some of the conditions or some of the how you play the game or the rules of the game or the setup of the game, they might be slightly different, but a lot of the key movements are going to be very, very similar. Obviously with a bit of variance to them, but you know, you can take the similarities, run with them, and it works. It applies to different sports, like so. And no, it was very beneficial.
I'm sure a lot of listeners will be kind of perplexed because they'll be thinking, I thought Darragh and Eoghan were rehabbing. Why are they essentially doing one-on-one training session in their return to play? But you can probably see now from what Alan does how he's so effective at filling the gap so that you come back not just at the same level that you were at, but at a better level than what you were at. Do you feel like people miss a trick by skipping all this part of the process in terms of their change of direction, their game speed ability, and their work that they do on the pitch, Darragh?
Yeah, I this is something as well Alan spoke about extensively in the workshop. He spoke about returning better than you left or you got injured at, I suppose. And for us, you know, playing at a higher level in terms of inter-county football, if we're not coming back into that environment, moving really well in terms of confident in our ability to change direction, confident in our ability to accelerate, confident in your ability to actually stand a man up and take him on, then you're going to struggle massively to reintegrate back in. You're probably not going to be moving that well. So you mightn't be able to handle much load when you actually do return, and the chances of you actually picking up injuries is a lot higher. So focusing on movement quality, that was something he was hammering home the whole time, is how you're actually moving. You know, you need to be picking really pernickety with how you're moving and analysing, you know, your sprint work, your change of direction work, you know, especially at the change of direction work, you know, displaying the qualities that you want to see with change of direction is like, you know, trunk stiffness, lateral hip stiffness, having actual confidence to place your foot outside your centre of mass and go in an opposite direction. And if you don't have the confidence to do that and you're just thrown back into training, then as I said, you're going to struggle massively, and you're probably going to increase your risk of picking up injuries. So I think it's absolutely key to have that confidence as an athlete, and I think that also applies, I suppose, at club level, especially at the level it's gone to in the last number of years. It's similar enough, you know, it applies both ways.
Do you feel like you have an advantage over other players that haven't done this training now going back in and haven't done it?
Yeah, definitely. Like obviously that was my first real exposure to it today, but it's already getting me food for thought, as in like, right, what they need to be doing prep wise, what they need to be doing on my own, how should my training be looking. And yeah, like you can, from one session there, you can see, right, if I start going in this trajectory and going down this rabbit hole, like how more effective you're going to be. You know, you think, yeah, like it's just it's class. You know, you're making it, I should have, up to a point, you don't need to make things too specific, but then I think once you do get to a certain level, obviously you do need to make it that whole idea of coming back better than coming back better than you were before. I think I've been in the past, probably because there's pressure, and I think in GAA especially because there's pressure for players to get back so quickly because they want to have an impact on the team. It's very much like get up to an acceptable standard and then right, you're straight in. And it's like you rarely get the chance to actually come back better than before. But from a mental side of things as well, like yes, physically you could be okay, but from a mental standpoint, you want to know that you're right. There's no doubt there. There's confidence there. You back yourself, and you can make those explosive movements that you want to make, or play the game the way that you play the game best. So I love that like philosophy of wanting to come back better than you left before. And obviously with myself being out for the last number of months and not training with the team fully, like it is obviously I got back out at the weekend there for a wee bit and probably felt a wee bit. I was like, oh fuck, you can feel a wee bit of rust here. So it is like, right, okay, there's still work to be done to get back up. So it's about making the actual work that you are doing, making it effective, I suppose.
I think one thing is important too is like there's a reason you got injured in the first place. So if you just focus solely on healing and getting back healthy, then there's like what's like the possibility of you just getting injured again is just the exact same, because you're just the exact same person and player and athlete that you were before you get injured. So you haven't actually fixed the root cause. So that's another thing he spoke about is like, what was, why did you get injured? If you don't clean that up, then like you're just going to end up exactly where you were before. And that for me is massively important, because I know this has been going on for so long and there's a reason that area got overloaded. So why was that? If you don't actually go down that rabbit hole, change what you were doing before, come back better, move better, and have that confidence, then you're a high chance you're going to end up in the exact same position.
Absolutely, it keeps me in a job, I suppose, as well. And it's something that's missed a lot of the time by a lot of athletes. Do you think that the pressure that Owen just spoke about there, Darragh, coming from management to get back on the field, sometimes might come from a lack of trust in the players that are filling in for, say, your key players who might be out injured? And then those same coaches maybe think, okay, well, if I have my key players back at 50, 75%, they're probably going to be better than my role players who are kind of filling in for this time period.
Yeah, well, I suppose they're going off what you were like before. So are they really going to be thinking about, why you get injured or what happened? They're not really. They're only going to be worried about, whether you're actually able to play. So the sole focus is going to be getting you back onto the pitch. Especially if you're as you mentioned, a trusted player within the team who is, especially at inter-county level, like trust is a massive thing when it comes to who you're playing. You'll rarely see someone get just thrown in with, a lack of experience. So I suppose it's only natural and normal for coaches to want to get the injured players who have played and done, walk the walk on the pitch, back and playing. And it's probably within the S&C world and the rehab world where it's a focus on actually, as we've been speaking about, returning better than you were before. Yeah.
So to move on then, maybe from talking about the actual mechanics of the injury and your movement mechanics, but still in that space, Owen, did any light bulbs go off today in regards to how you actually approach closing space with an attacker in a one-on-one scenario that maybe you wouldn't have thought about in a team session because you were given more reps today?
Yeah, I suppose the one thing that I was thinking about that was like, I only picked it up from watching the videos back after the session. At the time, it didn't really click in my head until I watched the video back. And I suppose it's that case of, if I watched it in video, I was able to piece together so many times in games or in training sessions where the same thing has happened. But I think now that it's been, I've seen it in video, I've seen it happen, fucking 6 in a row with McGurn. I was like, right, this has to fucking change here. So no, it's like a specific work on then, and I suppose it's been in those scenarios. It's nothing changes if nothing changes. Like you can find yourself in the same scenario, but if you don't learn a new behavior, then nothing's going to change. So it's like, right, I've got to the point now where I found myself in the same scenario. I figured out, right, what's going wrong? How do I fix that now? And it's about, right, going and implementing that. So that was definitely one of them. One thing we did notice in the prep was I was so reluctant to go on the left side. So we were doing like almost like a reactive drill where we were on the plate and then we're sort of splitting on the clap. Yeah. And they
won that one as well.
Single leg. No, you didn't. I won that one.
No, we maybe got the video.
I won, did I not?
No.
Fuck you. I bet by one on that one.
I give me that one.
Anyway, so I was saying, yes, my reluctance to go on the left side. So even going single leg, right side was fine, and then going on the left side, it was just like, it just completely froze. So I was like, just right away, like one wee simple movement that just completely. So yeah, no, there's doing so many reps, being in those scenarios, being put in those positions. It was great to sort of highlight. Right, okay, we've got to a certain point now, but it's like, right, there's still more work to be done, and then you have the sort of specific work ons from that. Like,
so you've been doing a lot of your stuff on your own so far, Darragh. Did it make it more effective to figure out how you're going to manipulate space, having an inter-county defender opposite you? And then did you figure some things out today, now that you've nailed a lot of, or tried to nail at least, the movement mechanics stuff in your own individual RTP and rehab? You got to put them into practice today. So what were the lessons that you learned?
Yeah, I suppose one of the key lessons was it's all fine and well doing drills in a closed scenario where you feel great stepping, you feel real powerful. But when you're thrown into a environment where you have to make decisions based off an athlete in front of you who, I suppose, is going to be watching your moves and trying to see where you're going, it makes it a lot more difficult. And I even found that within the gym when we were going through different drills, and Alan was like, he was maybe clapping his hands or doing something where you had to actually react to it. I was really struggling to actually start to think about things that I was doing in a really short space of time. So that is another skill that I suppose needs to be developed over time, and that's probably just not having done enough reps of that. But I felt when I went out onto the pitch, it was something like it was coming back to me, because I've been there before and I've been in that scenario many times where I've had to react to what a defender's doing, or I've had to make a decision and make them react to what I was doing. So in terms of the one-on-one drilling, like as a forward, if I have a man 1v1, and in that drill there was no defenders, obviously nothing else, it was just me and him and space, it'd be pretty bad if I wasn't able to actually get past him, or at least, even if he was getting hands on me, getting to one side of him. Like, in my head, that'd be a massive failure. So you have to probably understand too that, like, as Owen was on about, as a defender, like you're not always going to be, your goal isn't always to just completely stop a man. It's to, I suppose, make contact, stick with him. There's going to be defenders in the way as well. So, yeah, but like as I mentioned, it's a lot different, and it's another massive skill that needs to be developed, is reintroducing that open environment where you have to make decisions quickly.
In rugby, sometimes we'd say, like, if you can't tackle him, at least be a speed bump so that somebody else can tackle him. So yeah, sometimes you don't need to get the ball off them or dispossess them, but as long as you slow them up so that cover can come and give you a hand, you're going to be likely to reduce the chance of a scoring opportunity for the opposition. And then what you just spoke on there, Darragh, relates to really like having other constraints or constraints on your task. So far you've been implementing some of the movements, and the only constraint on you doing so has been your efficiency or your effectiveness at that movement. But then even when Alan took time away from you, it made it more challenging. And then when Owen took space away from you, it made it more challenging again. Conversations I have with athletes a lot in regards to their development of game speed, and I know the example that Alan uses a lot is Anthony Watson says maybe in a team environment, in a team session, you only get max 5 opportunities to take a man on one-on-one. It's probably quite similar in a GAA context as well. And the difference there is, in a GAA context, especially at club level, the max you're probably getting on pitch is 3 times a week. So that's 15 opportunities to take a man on one-on-one or a girl on one-on-one in a week. And that's probably not enough to improve that skill, as you just touched on there, Owen. So do you think that this is an opportunity that is missed by a lot of athletes in maybe the 20-30 minutes prior to their session, where they should be working on sport-specific skills or sport-specific scenarios where they can then transfer those new skills over to improve performance during the game environment?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's, when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Yes, there's elements of it when you're playing maybe small sided games, or you're doing a bit of sort of, 2v2, 3v3. But again, it's not specific work-ons. It's not doing something, right, what went well, what didn't go well, what's the corrective, and then go again. And then like having a clear objective of what's in your head that you're going to go and do something. I think it's very much just run through it. Obviously the objective is to score a goal, but it's not looking at how you're getting there. You're looking at the outcome rather than sort of how you're getting to the outcome. You might have a big fella who can just steamroll over the top of someone, or you can have a sort of smaller fella who runs into contact and gets bottled up. Both gonna have different strategies, or should have different strategies. If you're the big fella, you can get away with it. Fucking go for it. But if you're a big fella, you can throw a jink as well. Class. If you're a smaller fella, like you shouldn't be going into contact in the first place. So, all the more reason to be working on the steps. You're working on the tools that you have available, the skills that you have available to make your life easier, I suppose, and make yourself harder to mark.
Do you find it difficult as a back to work on defending one-on-one on your own? Obviously, it's quite difficult. But do you get players that often want to work on those things prior to training sessions at inter-county level that maybe you wouldn't get at club level?
At times. It's definitely been one thing there's been more of a focus on with us this year is doing a bit more sort of deliberate stuff before training. Not that we wouldn't have, but it would have just been your classic go up and kick the ball about and, work on left foot, right foot, that sort of thing, which is obviously important, but it's almost like there has to be a sort of plan to it. There has to be a structure to it as well. Like even reading Dan Carter's book there, like he's chatting about his kicking week. Like every day has a theme. He has a set number of balls that he's going to kick, and it's so structured and regimented of what he's going to do. I think your training has to be the same, and it's just periodizing it, I suppose, as well, tactically. Like knowing what you're working on different days. You cover it. So everyone has to be able to do everything. Everyone has to be able to tackle. Everyone has to be able to handle the ball. So you have to factor in all the skills. Like, there's no point in me going and kicking a ball 4 or 5, going kicking scores 4 or 5 days a week, whereas I could be spending 2 or 3 of those sessions before training working on probably what I'm going to have to do the most or what's going to be more effective in my position. So there's definitely been an increase in it, and rightly so.
Darragh, you spoke during the week about implementing even a minor change of direction or a curvilinear run prior to doing your skill work. How important do you think that is in transferring maybe the skill that you're working on to the game, in that very rarely are you going to just get a ball and knock it over the bar in a game? Maybe you would, I don't know. You'd probably put it wide though, would you?
Yeah, to take it off him.
Potentially.
Seeing you drop that video, I'll just release my one that I've been holding on to fairly late. So,
if it's not one of the championship lads, not much.
There, you stripped you. You dropped the ball. All heads.
No, like that. that side of like, I suppose, skill development is, I believe, is absolutely key. Like, it's rare in a game you're going to get the ball and you just have a shot to take straight away. You're nearly always going to have to create space for yourself with the ball, with the man in front of you. So, integrating that into your skill work is essential, to be honest. Like, your ability to, I suppose, sharply change direction, create 2 yards and then pull the trigger. But also, I suppose, if you can get someone down to the pitch with you and have actually a defender in front of you and work up towards that, I think that's even more valuable in getting, like you spoke about it already, but the amount of reps that we get in terms of taking a man on 1v1 or 2v2 or whatever it is minimal in team training, realistically. Some sessions it will be in there where you're taking a man on, but probably not enough to actually develop the skill. And a lot of players will line a man up and just be like, I actually don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how to create 2 yards here. So again, you speak about it a lot, like first working on an enclosed environment where you're actually learning how to change direction, how to step one side, developing your own skills, because there's loads of fancy steps and change the direction out there that some of the best players in the world are doing. Like, I think we had a good laugh this week about the goose step, but there's certain movements that will suit different players, and it could be just a simple jab step and just working on that and wrapping it. The classic example is Sean Kavanagh with his iconic shimmy. He just mastered that so much that nobody could mark it, and that's something that I think nearly all forwards could do to develop their game, is have nearly a trademark, maybe, or have 2-3 ways that you take a man on, wrap it outside of training, wrap it as much as you can, obviously without causing much fatigue to the system, because all of that work has a cost on the system as well. But I think it's really important to throw that in, develop it, and then bring it into a game scenario and wrap it there as well, and develop it over time, because it does take time.
But I think what you said there, you can have a trademark way of beating players for sure that you're obviously really effective at. But if you only have one way of beating players, you may get found out eventually. So that's something that Alan focuses on. It's something I focus on, having more tools in your toolbox. And realistically, as you said, 3 or 4 different ways of beating defenders. You can select the right one for the job then. Like, if all you have is a hammer, then everything is a nail essentially. But if you have a split step, if you have a side step, if you have your goose step, if you have your little spin move, then you'll be able to solve more problems. And that's what we see from the elite performance. Like David Clifford, Shane McGuigan, they very rarely beat a player in the exact same way. It's always different ways to beat the defender. Sometimes Clifford will use his crossover step. Sometimes he'll use a side step. Sometimes he'll just burn them on the outside. Sometimes he uses that inside-outside. And because he does all of those things as a defender, and Owen will probably attest to it, like when he gets the ball or somebody like that gets the ball, there's kind of doubt in your mind that you're thinking, oh, what's he going to do here? Whereas Sean Kavanagh was so good at that they knew what he was going to do, but they still couldn't defend it. That doesn't happen with absolutely everybody, unfortunately.
He actually put me on a hold in that one day. We played them in challenge, and I knew it was coming. Someone was able to get a hand in, but just my feet were fucking tangled all direction. Ended up in my hole. Common theme.
And before we move on as well, it's something that you just touched on there, Darragh, that I did want to speak about, like even briefly, is it doesn't have to go from closed to open straight away. What you can do is you can use a passive defender. So somebody that's not really trying to defend you, but is still in the position that a defender will be in. So you're still working on spatial and temporal constraints. So there's still a time element. You still have to judge where he is and how far away he is or she is. And you still have to beat them under a constraint of time. So that is often missed. And oftentimes when backs go out, they have kind of an ego thing as well, that they'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to stop him scoring here. Whereas sometimes as a forward, you have to say like, okay, I don't want you to stop me. I just want you to put pressure on me. And there's different ways you can use that, or you can implement that as a coach as well. And you can favour the attack by putting the defender further away and maybe coming in at overspeed. Or you can favour the defence by having the attacker coming into a smaller space that the defender is defending. And that's often missed, I think. Sometimes we just say we're doing this drill and it's a level playing field and we'll just see who wins. Whereas we probably should be structuring our training sessions, our team training sessions, into sections that are, this section is focused on our attack, this section is focused on our defence, this section is focused on our transition to attack, and this section is focused on our transition to defence. But that's a lot of talk about training and about how we structure training and whatnot, and we do have some big fixtures coming this weekend. So Darragh, I know you potentially were using a bit of irony there where you're saying that you're going to be starting at the weekend, but you obviously would have the itch to get out now that you're on the iPlayer as well. It'd be great for the exposure on social media to be knocking points over on BBC against Donegal.
Yeah, I'd have to give the manager a call and just say, just throw me in the squad. I'll be sweet. But no, it's a massive game this weekend against Donegal, and it's obviously on the iPlayer, so it's a lucrative one and one I would absolutely love to be playing in. But at the moment, to be honest, I'm just happy to be back moving and hopefully reintegrating now over the next couple of weeks. So we're right in the crux of, I suppose, the league at the minute. So as we probably spoke about plenty over the last couple of weeks, it is obviously difficult watching and not being able to actually play. But as we speak about, you think about what you can control, and all I can control is myself and getting myself right. And then I suppose it's good to be still within the squad and actually, I suppose, watching them prepare for, a game against a massive game in terms of the one that's coming at the weekend.
Will you travel on Saturday, Darragh? And then what does that look like if you're not involved and you are travelling? Or what does the Saturday look like if you're not travelling? Yeah, no, I'll be travelling, definitely. I absolutely love going to the games and being with the team, even if I am injured. So I suppose Saturday will look like probably just, depending on whether the session scheduled, that'll be done, I suppose, in the morning time before we go. And then I'll be going on the bus. If not, if it's a rest day, whatever it is, I'll be chilling out, and then I suppose spending the day with the team.
I think we're going up in the bus. We're going to beat Donegal, and then we'll be back down in the bus then. Enjoy the evening.
Owen, same question to you. I think you're on Sunday though.
Yeah.
And what does a Sunday look like for you? Even though it's a big one against Down and you are at home, will you get home to watch? Is there any games after that, or is that the only game time on Sunday, 2:00?
Haven't a clue. I haven't even paid attention to what else is on really. But no, just buzzing for it. That'll be a big result, or a big game, big challenge. Obviously, two of us sitting, well, us and us down Westmeath sitting at the top of the Division 3 at the minute, like with 4 points each. So it's a big game. Like if you're coming up against anyone who's in that sort of top 3, top 4, obviously everyone going for promotion, it's going to be everyone's out to win. Like so, no, it'll be exciting. But no, I enjoy the home games. I like them sort of being around that sort of 2:00 time as well. You can get up sort of your days pretty much as it would be. You get up, get your breakfast in the day, go for a walk, get a bit of coffee, and then just try and chill out and keep the day as normal as possible. I think a lot of the lads all go to the same coffee shop, like so you walk in and one other one comes in, another one comes in, and then you're all just having a crack in a coffee shop, like so. That's a good buzz, like, and then you go up and go through your prep when you're up at the game. So excited for it. All being well, will hopefully be available for selection if selected. The feature at some stage. Hopefully, but we'll see how we get on this week. So training tomorrow. Hopefully get through all that, and we'll see what we're like. See if Andy still likes me.
But Owen, that's quite quick. You've turned that around, like, to reintegration back to pitch, to hopefully being available for selection. And we're not going to jinx anything there, but like, you must be slightly excited about the week ahead.
100%, yeah, massively excited. Like even the buzz from last week, even getting back out onto the pitch 2 weeks ago, I think it was, even just going through dribbles, I was just like, I was pissing raining Friday night. I think it was about 3 degrees. And I had about 15 layers on. I got hot all on, and everything pulled up, and they're like, who the fuck's that? But I was like, happy to be there.
He's back.
He's back, and he was over in the corner doing the dribbles. But no, I was glad to be back. Like, and we had a bit of it in his game on Saturday. Played 25 minutes there, and it was buzzing. Like, felt good. Probably could have kept on going, but there was the smart move. Right, put it back there, learn from your mistakes. Don't be pushing it too much too soon. Had no reaction the next day, like, so no, I was buzzing with that, buzzing with the progress, and obviously around game week, learning from last year, probably the same sort of thing happened. Missed the first couple of games, then kind of came into the league late and wasn't used at all in my first game back, which was actually against Down as well. So I know how that feels. Obviously, you still prepare as if you're going to be used, but if you're not used, like I've been in that position before as well. So you don't want to think like that, but if it is the case where maybe it is a bit too soon, then you just have to obviously trust what the decision is, trust whatever the manager's decision is at the end of the day. But no, I'll be preparing as if I'm gonna be playing. Like,
that's class. Excited for you.
Yeah.
So there is a couple of other notable games at the weekend. Dublin Roscommon is on after your game, Darragh. That's on at 5:00, and then Kerry Mayo is at 7:30 on Saturday. Will you get to see those games? And then what's the prediction? Because we did touch on how Dublin maybe were misfiring a little bit, and they've had some tough tests against Roscommon in the past. So who's your call on that one, Darragh?
Yeah, probably will. I'll watch it probably just in the bus down the road. It's usually what happens. You get it up on the phone. But yeah, I thought I expected a bit more from Roscommon, to be honest, in the first 2 games. And especially in the last game, I thought they'd get a win. So yeah, they have the players, like they win 100%. They have the management, they have the players, they have the coaching. I think they may be taking a slightly different approach than they did last year. Obviously, they were going really well in the league. So I don't know if they're too worried, to be honest. And I'd say they're confident enough of going up to the Dubs, who are also probably taking a similar approach in terms of not prioritising the league massively, but building slowly. So I suppose we're into week 3 now, so they've 2 games under their belt, both of them. I'd imagine it'll be a pretty close game. I think the Dubs have most of their players back at this stage, and will not really take 2 defeats in a row well. So I'd be tipping the Dubs in that one. As for the second game, is that in Kerry?
Yeah. I don't know if I see them losing again in Kerry this year.
I would imagine the Cliffords would be starting that game too. So
Probably.
yeah, I think I'd be going. Yeah, I predict a Kerry win for there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I agree with McGurn on that one. Like, Roscommon, initially I was thinking they will, but I would expect Dublin to bounce back from their 2 losses, aren't they? I would expect them to bounce back pretty sharpish, like, but I wouldn't rule out a Roscommon win. I think Kerry will step it up another level. They stepped it up from the Derry game against Monaghan not this weekend there, but the weekend before the last day. Did a class at times there, and I think they'll continue to build that momentum again. So yeah, I think another Kerry win there.
And probably 2 games that have a little bit higher importance or more relevance for you, Darragh. Meath are playing Louth on Saturday or Sunday, and Kildare are playing Armagh. One's at 2, the other's at 3:45, and both are televised. So you'll be sitting down to watch them, I'm sure. Would you be bold enough to make predictions on that, having Fermanagh played Kildare last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, unless something's drastically changed in the last 10 days, I'd be very, very shocked if Kildare turned over Armagh. But I suppose they do have the players, and we seen it last year. It was up and down and up and down, and one game they were flying, one game they were, 2 or 3 games they were really poor. So yeah, obviously I'm sure they've done a lot of work over the last few weeks to try and correct those things. Armagh seem to be building slowly as well, and we're obviously pretty impressed with the last day out. So I'd imagine Armagh will win that game. In terms of the other game, Meath and Louth have actually been very impressive. I'm watching against Armagh that day, and they should have 100% won the game. Really physical, really well organised. They seem to be building even more so from Mickey Hart. They seem to be pretty self-driven in terms of what they're doing as well, in terms of like within the team. But obviously they're getting unbelievable coaching as well. So I think that one will be close, just given that it's in Meath, and Meath are obviously going to be expecting a bit of a bounce back from their start. So that one will be really close. If I was to call it, I'd probably say Louth by 3 points.
Any comments on those, Owen, or will we move on to throwing you under the bus with some Division 3 predictions?
No, just I'd probably agree with that again. I think Meath would. I don't know. That's a tough one. Like, initially I was thinking Meath in my head. Fuck it, I'm gonna go with Meath. Yeah. No, I don't know why. I just thought initially Meath would probably turn them over. But now when they're firing, they can be class like. But yeah, first thing that came to my head was Meath, so I'll go with that. And who was the other one? Armagh and Kildare. I think Armagh will come through that okay. Yeah.
So Division 3 then, we won't go through the lot, but on Sunday we have Wicklow, Westmeath, Offaly, Clare, Limerick, Sligo, and then yourselves versus Down. Yourselves and Down aside, what's a standout fixture there, would you say?
Probably be interesting to see how Westmeath go, because they're obviously sitting up there with us. They've been, you know what Westmeath have been like the last couple of years, like serious performances in them, and no, it's just obviously we'll be playing them within the next couple of weeks. So I'll probably be looking at that to see what way they're going, what way they're operating. So that would probably be the standout one I'll be looking at there.
And McConville's on a sideline, I think, for a few weeks as well. I did.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go on.
No,
you go.
I saw literally the podcast title when I was driving home the other day. I was flicking through a few podcasts and I was nearly putting it on, but I only saw it whenever I was literally. I just finished an episode and I was 5 minutes away, so I haven't stuck it on yet. But that'll be interesting, smooth.
Does it affect the team, Darragh, do you reckon?
I think it would. Minorly, to be fair, but yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, to be fair. When
like it could affect them either way, depending I don't know any of the players. You would like to think it would motivate them in a positive way of going, right, he's not here, let's step it up and let's make prove a point here. But I could also see how they could, if it wasn't going the way, sure, he's not here to give us sort of instructions, but that's not really an excuse. I don't think, I'm not to say that they would use an excuse, but you could see it being used. But you would like to think, right, they're going to be well enough drilled to know what the game plan is. They have someone else in the background team who's going to be able to deliver a certain message. And I would like to think that they'd be like, right, he's not here, they almost go out with a chip on their shoulder sort of thing. You would think that's how it would sort of influence them.
I think, undoubtedly it's going to have an effect. Whether it's going to be positive or negative almost is up to the players in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's allowed in the dressing room or what the protocol is, if he's just not allowed on the sideline. But if he's allowed in the dressing room, then I can't see it affecting them that much, really. I think a lot of the time managers think they have more of an impact on the sideline than they actually do. Half the time, if you're on the far side of the field, lads, I'd say you can barely hear what's being shouted at you across the field.
That's what's been said.
Sometimes maybe even it becomes a hindrance at times.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll move on to the Q&A, and the first question is probably one we've covered already from Sean McElhone. How can I try and get on the ball more?
Yeah, no, we did. We touched on that one last week, but again, from my experience, when you're not getting the ball, you need to think about ways that you can actually just get yourself involved. For example, a lot of the time, if you're not getting the ball, it's usually if you're an inside forward and a team is playing quite defensively set up. Switch roles with one of the forwards, rotate, come out, get your ball, get your hands on the ball. In an easy, I suppose, position of the pitch where you're not under much pressure, and just get yourself involved that way. Work your way into the game. As an inside forward, I've went through many games where I've barely touched the ball. Sometimes you have to be at peace with that, and you have to understand that, I am only going to get 2 or 3 chances here. I'm only going to get the ball 2 or 3 times, and it's about what you do when you get that ball. If you're going through a full game, literally not touching the ball, then it's in my opinion, it's what you're actually doing and where you're positioning yourself on the pitch. You have to go and demand the ball sometimes. That's just the way it is, especially as a forward, I find. Literally go out, demand it, get on the ball, get comfortable on it. Be intentful when you do have the ball. Then bring other players into the game, and then obviously if you are an inside forward, then you can work your way back in and trying to get I suppose your confidence to be a wee bit more up, and you'll be able to work your way into the game that way.
Anything to add to that, Owen, or are you happy with how Darragh's answer?
Just to build on, I suppose it depends on what the role is and what way the game plan is and what way you're sort of set up and what way you're asked to play. I would maybe go look at what's in your control. So obviously, you can play games where so many attacks are going down the right side and you're playing on the left side, and that's kind of out of your control. But if your job is to hold a certain position and play in a certain position, you've heard the classic one of Thierry Henry at Barcelona where he comes off the left wing and Pep takes him off. So I suppose there is an element of you have to be patient for it. Sometimes you can't force it, but then there is an element of, right, as Darragh says, are you in the right positions? Are you getting yourself in the best position to get the ball? I said also, look at what's in your control, maybe from a physical standpoint. Do you have the legs? Do you have the confidence in your own ability to be able to get up and down the pitch, to be able to put yourself in positions to actually get the ball and want the ball? Are you confident on the ball that, maybe it comes to the last sort of, comes to crunch time or the pressure's on? Are you shying away and staying out of the road? Or are you going, no, I actually want on the ball and I want to do something here? Rather than sort of being a passenger and letting someone else in the team sort of step up. So both of that, I think, comes back to confidence in your own physical ability to be able to actually get up and down the pitch, commit to making a run, being in positions that you probably spot and see if you have the brain there, and backing yourself that you've got the work done, you can get there, you can get back if it's turned over or whatever it is. And then also your confidence and skills and confidence on the ball. We spoke at the very start about putting yourself in certain scenarios, like doing that in training, getting comfortable in training, exposing yourself to those positions, and the more natural it's going to feel. So if there is a bit of nervousness there, then making sure that you're getting comfortable in those positions that you actually want to go and take the ball in.
Great answers, lads. The boys are playing a blinder and they're mad for the lava, so we're going to continue another 2 questions and then we'll let them off to bed. I don't want to be the reason that Owen pulls up during the week in his big week getting back.
Well, Gordon, see, for all his humor, man, he was sitting on the phone, sitting on the screen, blue light, caffeine before.
That's what happens when you put yourself in the environment with people like you, eh? Bad influence, eh? I was staring at the ceiling for 2 hours when I got into bed.
It was all Alan's fault. He had us out. Anyway,
he had us chatting for fucking 3
We'll cut
hours.
across you there. Go ahead.
You're all good, mate. You're all good. I think the people enjoy when the two of you rip into each other. So I think the more of that, the better, to be honest. Question is, being afraid to train in the gym the day before a game, if that even is a question, but it's something that somebody's feeling anyway. Thoughts on that feeling, Owen?
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. Like, context is king here. You know, if you're going into the gym and you're hammering a fucking lower body section, then obviously you're going to be scared going into it. Like, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. But, you know, if you're going in, you're doing a bit of a primer session, maybe a wee bit of extra upper body just to kind of feel nice and tight in the jersey, then all for it. Like, but yeah, like context is king. You know, if you're going in and doing, if you know that you're going in and doing stuff that you know you shouldn't be doing, then you're going to feel that way. But if you're going to do stuff that's going to help you the next day, then yeah, by all means, go and do it. But I suppose that comes down to having confidence in your program, knowing what you're doing, maybe your own knowledge, and then that's where a coach can come in handy, so that you have that advice, you have that, you're removing the guesswork there, and someone who knows what they're at can put it in place for you, so that you're not fucking up and then taking away from your performance. Rather, you want to be obviously making your performance better.
Yeah, I think you need to be, I suppose, taking advice from someone who knows what they're doing if you are going to be doing primer sessions. If you're doing your own program, you're organising your own sessions, then there's a high chance you're gonna overdo it. So, with a primer session, you want to ensure you're keeping the volume low and keeping, you know, a decent intensity to that session. So, a session, I suppose, I would have been someone who would have loved doing primer sessions, and I always felt it felt better out on the pitch. Other people would say, you know, I just don't enjoy it. I 100% work better when I just take the complete rest. Some of that could be placebo for either cases, but, you know, if placebo works, then work away. But yeah, volumes, in terms of volumes, I suppose what that actually means. So, for example, if you're doing a chop or deadlift, you'd ideally reduce the range that you're going through, so you're completely taking out the opportunity for picking up any DOMs, and you're keeping reps and sets low. So, for example, 2 sets to 3, that would be plenty. You could pair that with a plyometric. And then you could do one more. You could do an upper body exercise, again, throw in a plyometric with that. You could do 2 sets of 5, whatever it is, of a bench press, and say a med ball throw. It literally could take you 20 minutes. You could do a bit of mobility. And, you know, the likelihood of that causing any problems the next day is unbelievably low. So, as Owen mentioned, context is absolutely key when it comes to what you're actually doing the day before a game. And I suppose talking to the right people, having the right coaches doing that for you, and making those decisions for you is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, but a nice little template that you've put forward there for people that do have a background and can critically think, I suppose, that they'll be able to follow for sure, for a primer, an effective primer at that. It's just probably the loads that they need to look to manage. Opinion on penalties used in the McCrory Cup done after 7 minutes additional time played is the next one. We had the McCrory Cup final at the weekend, but they were trialling out this new rule, I think, where penalties was after 7 minutes additional time. What do we think of that going forward? Is it a little bit short? Is it a good way of settling the game? Because both of you have spoken a couple of weeks ago about wanting to finish on the day. What do you reckon, Darragh?
It's a hard one. Like, I can't really speak for someone in those shoes, because for a McCrory Cup footballer who gets to the McCrory Cup final, I think someone put up a tweet about this the other week. At that time, it's the most important thing in the world, and it's one of the biggest things. So, you know, other people might say, you know, 100% go to replay. We want to finish it properly, but I still think if it's the way the game's played, it's the way the game's played. It's, you know, an All-Ireland final at the minute. Would it finish in penalties, or is it an All-Ireland semi-final?
Like the finals,
yeah,
only the penalties.
Semi-final for the penalties, and then it's a replay for the final, isn't it, Owen?
I think so. I'm not.
Yeah. So I think it's only fair, I suppose, to keep that sort of way of going about things consistent. You know, keep all finals to replays, and that would fix most issues. Yeah, you can understand the frustration from the players on the losing side. Their opinions might be different if they had won the game in penalties, as it would be. But yeah, did that game go through extra time first?
No, that's.
And then
I think it was just I think it was a couple of weeks ago. To be honest, it wasn't the final.
Oh, right.
I know it's just at the weekend there, wasn't it? Did I?
The final was at the weekend, but I don't think it went to penalties.
Oh, right. Okay. It was 7 additional time. I thought the way I picked you up there, I thought they played 7 minutes of like extra time rather than like injury time sort of thing. I thought my interpretation of that was like I've seen Maynard changed the under 17s. When I saw them play extra time, the amount of them that were going down with cramp was insane. So I thought it was to maybe like protect them a wee bit and sort of, which kind of makes sense in my head. But no, I think finishing on the day, like if that's the rules or whatever the rules are, like it is what it is. Like as Darragh says, if you're on the winning side, you're not going to complain. If you're on the losing side, like you can't complain either. Like if you're on the losing side but you want it, you'd be saying nothing. Like so, no, I think for me, like I think I said it last week, you want your money's worth. Get it finished on the day. The excitement's there. Somebody has to lose anyway. Like so, what's the point in fucking pushing it back another week or two? Just get it over and done with on the day.
Owen's been practicing penalties all off season. That's why the hamstring is at him, and he's mad for penalties coming into this season. Now he's like, pick me, coach. Last question then. Opinions on supplements like citrulline manulate on helping with aerobic fitness from Geordie McMahon. Very specific question, but we might generalise it a little bit and ask, what are our opinions on supplements in general? And I think Hooverman himself, Mr. Darragh McGurn, is going to have a hot take on this. Go ahead, Darragh.
Yeah, so when it comes to supplements, I will always say everything must be nailed. So when it comes to professional athletes, say, I spoke about someone who actually would be a friend of mine who does rowing. And like rowing's one of those sports where, you more than likely have everything nailed. You have your training nailed, your nutrition nailed, you have your sleep nailed, you have all that nailed. And then they go about looking about supplements that can really improve their times by 1%, 2%, 3%. And that's, I suppose that's data that's right in front of you and you can see it. So, it's a no-brainer to go after that, to try and really, I suppose, just get an extra 1% or a 0.5%, whatever it is, to improve your chances of winning. But when it comes to a sport like GAA, I think you're overthinking things when it comes to that, because you're not going to be able to like realize if something's really helped, especially with a supplement like citrulline malate or beta-alanine. You're purely going to be going off your own perceived, your perception of it. And so you're not really going to be able to know if something's working or not, and you're probably just going to be pissing money down the drain. So obviously stick with your main supplements that are proven to help athletes, which is going to be your creatine, your whey protein, for me at the minute, omega-3, the general ones for health like vitamin D, magnesium, for certain athletes as well, are all going to be, nearly guaranteed to, I suppose, help. And you're going to notice benefits from them, I suppose. But when it comes to those supplements that just haven't been, I suppose, tested enough, and yeah, like it's nearly a clue if you have a supplement there and you've heard barely anything about it, but you've heard one or two TikToks or you've heard one person say this about it, chances are it's bullshit and it's not really going to do anything. So I would stick to absolutely nailing the nutrition, absolutely nailing your training, absolutely nailing your sleep, including those supplements that I mentioned, and just going from there.
Well wrapped up, I think, in terms of what you touched on at the very end. Do you think maybe, Owen, that a lot of younger athletes jump straight to supplementation too early?
Yeah, 100%. I was definitely guilty of it myself. Like, when I was younger, I was looking at supplements and looking at the next best thing. I remember when you're 14, 15, 16, you hear someone your age taking creatine, you're going, oh shit, he's taking creatine. You think it's a steroid, like, and you think it's going to bring all these magic gains. But, like, if you're not training, like, and you don't have everything dialed in, then it's not going to have that big of an impact. I've seen a lot more, especially in my own Q&As, getting really asked really specific questions about like certain supplements, especially from a conditioning standpoint and like fatigue standpoint and building tolerance to fatigue. And it's like, work on what's actually going to get you fitter firstly, like actually get fitter, do the training to get fitter and be able to tolerate that before you go look at a magic supplement. I get it, like, is it going to make your life easier? Like, it'd be great if you could take something and like makes you unbelievably fit, or you grow a third lung or whatever. It'd be class, but it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Like, the easiest way to get fitter is exposing yourself to those volumes and accumulating volume over time at low enough intensities from an aerobic standpoint. Like, so yeah, if there was a magic supplement there that worked for everyone, well, firstly, it wouldn't be legal. Well, there is, it's EPO, like, but it wouldn't be legal. Everyone would be at it, and nobody would have to do any conditioning. That'd be great. So too good to be true, I would say. Maybe, again, unless you have everything absolutely nailed, like, focus on the basics first.
And there's a reason it's illegal. So
yeah.
Lots of very relevant and logical chat there from the two lads. Lads, thanks again for another episode of the Backdoor Cut. Thanks to all our listeners for tuning in, and we'll be back again soon for another episode, hopefully after a couple of wins, and maybe a cameo from Owen McCabe himself.
Oh, yes.
Cheers,
lads. Pleasure as always.